business doesn't need money. Bos masters te karan, waiter kam te karan, cashier kam te karan, to software te lekha ratas. Mishiyat ek to bano me FM radio station. Timan donos na ye could be the world's best artist.
True.
Magar to bana wani ra.
Hello and welcome to our program. This is your host Anisa Khan. और आज के इस प्रोग्राम में हम बहुत ही खास मेहमान से जुड़ने वाले हैं. A person who didn't just dream big but made it big. एक ऐसी शख्सियत who's making his name beyond Kashmir. Thank you so much, sir. It means a lot. So we have got this bouquet from sir. अगर शफात काजी की बात हम करें, बचपन में वो कैसे थे? पेरेंटल प्रेशर था कि डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर ही बनना है, या फिर वी वांट टू नो समथिंग अबाउट योर चाइल्डहुड. स्कूल में आप कैसे थे?
I was actually I had a major ADHD, attention deficit disorder. Mion che yut me yaad ki my mother teacher, my dad was a professor, and he knew a lot of people in education. Yel me matric exam was done, that was Hasan different center was exam done, and my dad's friend was a supervisor at the test, and he said, my son is taking the test, just make sure that he behit ki 3 घंटा निवेश नहीं और उनकी क्या इसकी म्योस टेस्ट दिनस अगर 3 घंटा टेस्ट ऐसे मिनियर इन घंटे 2 घंटे ज्यादा तक है ना क्या. So as a child I grew up very inquisitive, curious. बोस उस खोलान लोकन हिं टेप रिकॉर्डर पता उसमें तंगा वापस जोड़ने, and ती मुझे बिच दिवा है ये सुना टेप रिकॉर्डर खराब करे, and I would make projects में शिया तक तो बनो में FM radio station. ती मन दोनों उसने कश्मीर में रेडियो स्टेशन FM रेडियो स्टेशन में उस मैगजीन आखिवान में उस मदर उसमें को सब्सक्राइब साइंस टुडे मैगजीन उस तक नाउ बोस शव होते में सो मैगजीन दुबनी कोरी में खतर सो अखबार बोल त्रवान सो सिवा रातस में एक लेटर तथ मज यम चेर सरिज कित कह हेकु कर हो ये मे बनो FM रेडियो स्टेशन लग में तथ प्रोग्राम करें वन हेतिन मे रिश्ता तीन दुबक एक दोस्त वहां के बेम गवनी तथ 5 पे 6 तक सो ब्रॉडकास्टिंग करा तथ लुकन स पाई को रेडियो पे ओस लिखित FM तिमन स पाई क्या FM क्या तो ये पे मे याद इत पे कि पत मंज गो 2-4 हफ्ते एक दो गसान ऐसे चीर रोज 9 बजे 10 बजे ठुक ठुक अच्छे वुचान अरबी तो डैड मे वो क्या दलील तो तुम उस प्रोफेसर साहब अ रिपोर्ट की ये ट्रांसमीटर ये गरस मज तो ये क्या दलील सो मे ट्रांसमीटर कहें पे कुछ ट्रांसमीटर ये दोसे तुम पृथ्वी ये कुछ तो मकसद वोथुस बह मे बोज ट्रांसमीटर मे FM रेडियो स्टेशन दोक अच्छा चे FM तल हाव तो हो मे तमो न्यू मे दोक यह अलाउड ये बनोमुत. So I would get my family in trouble, for those kind of things. I used to have a lab in my house. Like though on sulfuric acid, I was doing an experiment to go explode. Palvan gai sani gaid, pardan gai, curliness gai, and my mom, later on found out, and she couldn't figure out was a science expert. So, Myon advised you for every young child. Yes. Curiosity is your superpower.
बिल्कुल.
The world belongs to those young curious. So it's okay. Open things, break them, ask questions, find
कोई
out.
ऐसा इंसिडेंट जो आपको अभी भी याद है, बचपन में आपने कोई ऐसी हरकत की हो जो सबको याद हो और आपको भी अभी तक याद हो, जिसकी वजह से आपको बहुत डांट पड़ी हो?
I think the science experiment was the one that that the irony of this thing is कि मैं उस मम्मी और no parent.
Oh.
तो मैं उस सुई parent लगित करा experiment. And you think explore go अदुई parents गई learn मज manzas brand new parent. So and when my mom came back from work, she was teacher. तो मे प्रोन फेरन लगे तेन दोप क्या प्रोन फेरन चे मे नो फेरन कस लगा नो फेरन. सो युथु मे दोप वह गाल वो नो फेरन मे लगो नो फेर तो अत मे नर चान मज अंदर बेबिस मज चाना नर अंदर मे तल किन अंदर किन थप कर्म इत थोमुत यह बंद कर गद तो अम वुच दोप ऐ क्या थप कर अत त्रा यल अत वुन गई दोपन हाय कुस तावन यह क्या पत दोपन यह कत गो मे गो खस सो हेर अत वुन बिस्तरस गद पर्दन गद कलिनस गद and that is when I got a little bit of hard treatment from her and but she understood them so Sipai ke Shafat is into innovation and learning and curious.
You were very experimental.
Very a troublemaker actually.
So आप किसके साथ ज़्यादा attached थे, अपने father के साथ कि mother के साथ?
I was definitely attached with my mother more. She not only nurtured me in the right direction, kept on my science magazine and all of that. So Spanti, brilliant teacher.
Oh, nice.
She later on, retired as a principal also, and so did my dad. Who was last at Amar Singh College. He was done with brilliant, but I loved my father in the sense that Temsund was asan. Temsund's advice was asan very structured, very thoughtful, and he would concise his answers. And he has never raised his hand on me. Magar so kathvi se pazar wala.
Oh.
You know, so that's one Kashmiri maz asilan pazar wala. So titkai me kathu se embarrass karna ma ki that would be harder than ki agar kah diye me chuop tam khudan. So that has taught me to be patient also myself. As a matter of fact, me chuna asda my kids or anybody have never raised my hand on them. But I also, when I want to be firm, I'm firm with communication rather than with trying to get physical.
So आप पे वो parental pressure नहीं था कि नहीं या तो engineer बनना है या तो doctor बनना है. You had that freedom.
They both of my parents knew he was going to be an engineer. So that was understood because I was so inclined towards technology. And computer science didn't exist. So there used to be a engineering degree called electrical electronics. And electrical electronics was the closest you could get to computer sciences. And I was fortunate enough to get admission at Birla Institute of Technologies in electrical electronics, which was my passion. But unfortunately, my father did not want me to go there because time brought was gomut aite some riots and a lot of students were killed and so also fear was tamutumis. And he said, you're easily going to get admission in REC. She local, it's one of the refined universities also. So then I went to REC instead of went to BITS. But they knew engineering was my passion.
आपको क्या लगता है अगर हम पेरेंटिंग की बात करें how important it is और वो एक इंसान को कैसे शेप करता है कैसे ग्रूम करता है proper parenting?
I think parenting has three important responsibilities. One is to give the right education to the child.
Okay.
So my parents could decide yelbo sohoro suski traunas Bernal school.
Okay.
Bernal school was wire drog to bondon ₹60 fees. Mes kasan school doh kundo mes rishtar kara mazak do zuropi kare zaya se garib uthok zukamas per zuropi kara zaya and zuropi means a lot those days. We're talking about 1966. So but vision asun like his parents sun be decide karun ki is khamo kam to magar emis dimo higher education or top quality education was the best decision. As the yelba higher student employees kana yetik agar Bernal school ka student such sud nana me Bernal school because school ch groom karana is foundational years na very important. So your decision ch parent and khatar very important ki make sure कि तू कर जो ना इतना compromise कि कुछ school make sure you send him the best school and there are few very well known schools here. DPS is there, Bisco is Bernal is there. So get that education. The cheese was parenting and the important cheese for them for me also was कि ये करियो identify कि चने शुरुस क्या च passion. ये वारिया पेरेंट्स में ये वुचमित कि मेन कोर हसा बन डॉक्टर
Yes.
मगर कोर छुन डॉक्टर कोर छ दपन बन जर्नलिस्ट
Yes.
बन न्यूज एंकर बन at क्या छ वनान आर्टिस्ट सो ये could be the world's best artist
True.
मगर तो बनावन ये डॉक्टर
बिल्कुल
अच्छा बन डॉक्टर के डॉक्टर डबस मस बात
सही
ये मर ते डॉक्टर ये नेरी नाम डब मस सो ये छ बड़ अ टफ डिसीजन आसान लाइफ मस कि तु कुस प्रोफेशन करियो अनलाइक मी बुछस पन पन कना एक्सेप्शन कंसिडर कि बोसुस structural engineer there, CEO of a multinational software company there, film producer there, music producer there, the traveler there, mesh in 100 countries travel karan. So ye opportunity chana sarne.
Yes.
Most people as a matter of fact, almost 100% of my friends, they chose engineer, they retired engineer, they're gonna die, engineer. So you want to really make sure कि ये करियो identify early on ये अम्स tendency क्या छ and तात करियो दियो अम्स right tools and all of that कि म्यानि माज वुछ अम्स छ science and technology कुन maths कुन तम कोर Science Today magazine subscribe में खतर सो American magazine असल and तिमन दोन very expensive मगर हफ्ते रातस मज एक लटे सो युवा similarly दियो इमन freedom बोसुस नई में जमात परान तो मे दोप माज बगस बम्बे मे तत कजन करान काम मे दोपस बगस कुन जोन सो तम दोप मे मान कित कन गसक मे इत हम बह बस टिकट ये लाल ना बड़शा चौकस नश बनान रेलवे टिकट ते दिन जम पे बम्बे तान सो हम पे गस ट्रेन मज पाने एंड शी लेट मी
nice
बस 15 वोर सो ये early on ये शुरिस दीना या युस कशर पट वनान अंग्रेज पट वनान umbilical cord गस कर कट early on with your child ये मे ज्यादा वुचमुत कशीर मज कि पेरेंट थवान सो umbilical cord connected इवन अड़न खानदर तम तम वनान मम्मी बह करा हो मम्मी बह करा ये they don't have the confidence
बिल्कुल
and stop being helicopter parents right so ब्या problem वुचमुत मे कि मोन मोन मोज सनान यह क्या कूत पारान because at the end of the day they were more inclined कि यह अमिस गसन समझ fundamental scene rather than रट करन
बिल्कुल
so give them the freedom to experiment और एक वारिया लुक वनान hey screen time हसा शुरन ज्यादा फोनस पे हु ये बुशुस तमन दवान it doesn't really matter screen time कोता matter करा कि क्या quality of screen time अगर तुम YouTube पर कम वीडियो वुचान या तमन हेचनावान कह चीज कित कन करन then that's a good screen time that's education but if they are watching something that is junk and that is gonna that's fake information or propaganda then yes I would worry about it you don't want them to become part of some cult someday because they were not watched so that's a parents should they as they say in America trust but verify शिरन करियो trust मगर पचिंग करियो verify थी कि इनशा सही पका
so a lot of people know Shafat Qazi as a person who is into technology and all but I know you produced a film recently that is Songs of Paradise so tell us something about that how was your journey like landing into filmmaking being a producer how do you feel about it
so before I answer that question
because it's a very creative job
yes
yes. So how was the journey
so I'll tell you how the journey was first of all as a child I was among very early on person in Valley who had a video camera and that too was because my cousin one of my cousins in Saudi Arabia had bought a camcorder he left it with me instead of leaving it with his family because I was good at technology so through that camcorder I started recording little home movies here and there so my love for movie making started from there then I became the go-to guy कि hey Shafat on your khandar shitul khandar sort video so also khandar put video tulan and so I made then I would do my editing on the videos I had the editing tools and so I had kind of learned that as a child so when I was a student No, actually, I had finished my education. I saw a movie called Bucket List.
Bucket list.
If you haven't seen it, it's a Hollywood movie. It's called Tat Much Nafra also Borumut list things we want to do before we die. Mene ye John idea. So meti bano bucket list. Tat Much bucket list maz ak item ki banawa full feature film, production quality, asal, good budget, good, just sorry dunya wish. Use bucket list item. Use me pai cost film banab, kaite banab, kitne banab, never. I haven't given tuta soch. The bucket list item was ki I want to go to 100 countries before I die.
Wow. So 78 you have already.
78 mein kaimats already.
Nice.
I'm going to 79th on Saturday.
Wow.
So ita kani isme wire bucket list. I have some that are that haven't been fulfilled. For example, I have to write 2 books. That's part of my bucket list, and I'm starting that next year.
So inspiring. He's motivating us.
Yeah. So long story short, bucket list was I got involved in a program where I was trying to promote kosher culture, kosher language, kosher music. So I was touring Irfan Bilal Mehmeet around the world. The came time from the open, hey, you should read about Raj Begum. I said Raj Begum in Bazaar, and as a kid I knew her. So then I started researching Raj Begum. I read her story, and I called Danish Renzu, who was a director in LA. So Sutyos me mentor Kormut LA while he was studying. Then meet with her, and he met with her, and all of that. And I commissioned him and Sunena Kachru. I said, why don't you guys write a movie inspired by her life story. I don't want it to be biopic, but I want it to be inspired by her life story. So, which was my bucket list item already. So I had that. And so that was 2015. She died in 2016.
Okay.
But we started writing the story. So Maklo is a story, writing all of that stuff. And my company was growing really fast. I didn't have time to make the movie. Patkari was decided shooting. So we were getting very close to selecting actors and everything. But then Zusas Kunu August 5th happened. Yediko shut down, sorry. Padawasha Cholovan Karo Zusas was shooting. Go COVID. Karan. Meanwhile, I exited from my company in 2021. And then 2022, we finally made it possible. Karis actor select sahi. I have so much respect for filmmaking after that movie. Average come, and some days the day would start at 5 p.m. and it would end 5 a.m. next day. Night shoots and all of that. And then they would get a break for like 6 hours and again be on the set. How they did it, how they managed it, incredible. It's I have completely new level of respect for filmmaking.
Oh, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what it takes to. A lot of people think like, oh, it's
Yes.
I'm into video editing myself a little bit. I sometimes when I go to these countries, I make like a 2-minute video, and that 2-minute video takes me 2 hours to edit. People don't know that, but it's a very tedious job. The interview सवाल so तमी वोन में दुबने लोग दपान बिजनेस खतर गसन पोंसा आसिन बस कर स्टार्ट बिजनेस मगर मिशन पोंसे मे दुमस यम गई हेल बहान
बिल्कुल
पोंस छुमन तम मूजूब कर बिजनेस स्टार्ट तो तभी सो तथ कमेंट्स बलाए हे क्या वन हेल बहान पोंस बगर कित करो पत then they did a second episode recording of that. Okay, you should look one क्या दिला वो नुच्चे पोंसो बगर है कि business start करें मुझे business doesn't need money to start. It needs your commitment and determination.
True.
अगर it's committed छुट्टी बकरे business start, then you will start it and money will come to your door automatically. So then I gave him an example. I said let's say and which is a true case. A woman actually came to me and said, I want to open up a boutique store.
Okay.
And I want to buy these clothes from Delhi and Amritsar and whatever. And these are Pakistani style shalwar kameez that I want to sell. There's a market for it. I want to make profit. But I need money. Miss, how much money do you need? When I want to have at least 200 suits and each one costs so much, so you tap mos kaise mein kam as kam asun. Miss, no, you don't need money. What you need is proper business plan. So gonet wush tu kaite she distributors available. Timon phone number kya chhe, tim kar so research online, timon se kar sa kath. Timon protsu pat akh sawal da ke agar butulo to initial wuh suit to diva me 5 suit dimo to payment 15 diu to me on consignment. In other words ki ele bakanu bidimo to pons. Ya wuh diva on consignment. Be kare ts kam be wush कि अगर से दुकान रटन छी किरायस पे तथ क्या पेमेंट अपफ्रंट रेंट क्या एज कंपेयर टू अगर से लुकन हिंदिस गरस मस कर होस्ट इनवाइट कर अंटिल यू गेट द कस्टमर बेस बिल्ड सो ये खर्च त कर से खत्म क्या कि तुम सोच के दुकान खतर ते 20 लाख रुपए जरूरत सो by the time I gave her all I said you have so much work to do before you spend even a rupee on your business. That's why business, when people say, you know, they come to me and they say, we need money, but when I ask them, it's a basic question, distributors should lined up, mall, all of that stuff.
Research
bank research. So that's what it is, starting a business.
उसकी बात करें कोई खास planning आपने की कोई खास plans थे जो आपने बनाए कि you know this is my roadmap मुझे ये करना है.
So I'll tell you with BQE software, this is so that you know in my life me kar mit 4 businesses godnik business kor me shuru bosus viral lokut I was 14 years old when I started my first business. I used to sell these foreign goods timon dona tape recorder asan and digital pens asan all of that. So I had a dealer who would give it to me on consignment, and I had a bicycle and I had a bag, and I would put the bag on my bicycle. That was just buying pen, tape, recorder, web recorder, perfume, and I would go to my relatives' homes and sell it to my uncles and aunts and cousins, and then to their friends, and then their friends, and the whole thing expanded to where I was making around 25 to 30,000 rupees per month.
Oh wow!
In selling these little things that people look at and even just one on spontaneous purchases. You know how tu gasan stores per kunjai cash register per some pons kar ai te chu tu usha cash register oh bi do to chocolate bottle to you not apply because it's a spontaneous buy. It's not that much money. It's 500 rupees or whatever. So then I just started another business when I went to US. When I was a student, because doctors in the office, that wish me both wait karan lobby mas doctors in the office mas I wish me you know you secretary bichari ke the paper per bara form insurance and billing kara be the doctors should go them they wish me personal miss me want to actually secretary secretary karan you paperwork secretary on the computer on secretary the national software so all black software secretary sorry automate who you तो दबन ठीक शायद से सॉफ्टवेयर लेकर करना करना वैसे बहुत बाकी डॉक्टर नहीं थे तो ये पाती थी मैं ये लोग सॉफ्टवेयर ये तो वो शिक उस असल सॉफ्टवेयर बोस मास्टर से करान वेटर काम ते करान कैशियर काम ते करान तो सॉफ्टवेयर ते लेकर आता and it turned out to be a good software. It was like do or die situation because I know a lot of people must have heard कि to America goes I went with $700. And that's all I had. Timon donos diva Indian government $500 never karna maximum. And me us relative ang picharta me $10 katna in me tindu hema lagne. So that was my total money. Bo to store university te tai do punsa sa fees. So Kashmir pachwana me pe zangan lur pushto bo ketan punsa sa it was $7. To me atkota college me fees banas $1 actually. So I started working day and night to make 25,000. I didn't make 25,000. I had to borrow from my cousin $500 still. But
it's so nice you still remember.
Yes, where there is a will, there's a way.
There's a way, yes.
So anyway, going back to Gold Banom's doctor's software, and that software became a software company. We created a company. I was a partner, and eventually I sold that company to another company. Patas, then the third company was when I came to California. I joined an engineering company because my master's was in structural engineering. And
So you are basically software engineer.
no, basically I had done a master's in civil and then structural.
Structural, okay.
And then I had done a minor in computer sciences.
Oh, nice.
But I had already learned programming when I was in Kashmir. So I was very fluent in many computer programming languages. I was born as a technologist, so I knew, even as a kid, I would go to people's home. Yes, and hey, I just go TV kharab shafat switched on. Also because I was buzzed the briefcase, tester, which was kind of cute because I was like 14, 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I wanted to be professional.
Really cute.
Mech diwan tim 500 rupiah na pata TV ठीक करनस presses गसान खराब लुकन tape recorders गसान खराब कहाँ ते digital equipment I say I could figure it out. But leaving that aside, so point I make is in my entrepreneurial journey, BQ Software was one company where I had a plan by the time I started that company, and the plan was that I'm going to build it a multinational and a multi-million-dollar company, and then I will exit from this company to the point that it will be listed on NASDAQ as a publicly traded company, and it will be one of the best software in the world for what this company does. And that plan meant patience, because when the company started gaining traction and customers, buyers, private equity investors, they wanted to buy, but I resisted because I knew we weren't ready. So in 2021, I finally brought in private equity, and they invested in my company, 60% of my company, and now they're taking it to the next level. So that was very well planned. Took me a 20-year plan, and that was my longest company that I have been with. Because engineering company kar mein 8 variant run, or medical billing software kar mein 2 variant. Business with your son variant. So this was my longest plan. I don't know how to cook, but nun chai, I can tell you, every time I make it, people say it's really good nun chai. So I have figured out exactly how much baking soda and how much nun chai and how much water and how many times to brew it to take that texture kadu and this. So what I do is I do that, I bottle it, I put it in the refrigerator, and it lasts me 1 week. So every morning 1 cup of nun chai.
Oh, nice.
That's my breakfast.
And shawl or tie? What would you prefer?
Currently neither, but when I was young, it was Thai.
It was tie.
Yeah.
And currently?
None.
None. So your favorite dish?
By far, Marswangan Korma.
Marswangan Korma.
Yes.
Okay, that one Kashmiri word that you speak every day. In America also.
Adhike.
Adhikya.
I'm usually agreeing to more things. So Adhike Theek. So those are like the common words here. I use Adhike a lot, just to acknowledge sometimes, not necessarily agree.
So tell us something about your daily routine, how your day starts, like something about your day.
So depending on where I am in the world, routine is different. These days, it's waking up in the morning. I'm usually an early morning wake up, no matter what time I sleep. I naturally wake up around 6:37.
Okay.
Then I head out. Usually my breakfast is a cup of tea and 1 piece of bread. I don't eat a big breakfast. That's all my breakfast. And then I go for a walk. In LA, I have a gym at home, so I do my workout within my house. And then
so you are a fitness kind of person.
Well, it's more like keeping my body in tone. I'm not into necessarily muscle building, but I like to stay in shape. I like to keep my bones strong. And I walk 4 miles every day. 4 miles ke lagbhag 6-7 kilometer. So, nice. But this is not something I just started. I've been doing it for a very since young age. I was a gym member when I was 22, 23 years old. I came to this US.
इससे पहले कि हम आज का एपिसोड जो है, we end this episode, we would like to know your life lessons जो आप हमारे ऑडियंस के साथ शेयर करना चाहेंगे.
Sure. Interestingly, long time ago, I did a post on social media where I wrote down my life lessons to share with the world. I'm going to read some of them from that life lessons. Number one is memorize something new every day.
Oh.
So number two is reduce your attachment to possessions. People get too attached to cars and houses, and exercise daily if you can, at least 2 to 3 times. Focus on present. A lot of people worry or focus too much on past or future.
Future.